What up? 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 Cowboy Nation! Make some noise, baby. Yes, let them say what they want. Don't worry, I'm going to hold us down today, Cowboy Nation, because I know they're going to talk about our victory and everything like that. But listen, your boy, he's got you covered. But I'm also with my other boy, my co-host, my man, my mellow. He gets on the mic because you know he eats Jell-O. This is my boy, Don is in the building. What's going on, man? Welcome, y'all, to another episode of Brooklyn Beards and Ball Sports Show. Listen, I'm excited. I'm always excited after a win. You know, Don is excited. Y'all saw a lot of teeth last week. Probably going to see some more teeth next week. You know what I mean? His nets are looking good. Everything is feeling good. Life is good for Don in his sports world. What say you, D? How you feeling, bro?
Oh, man, I'm doing well. How's everything with you, man?
I'm here, man. I'm here.
This is going to be a good show. I don't know why you're so excited about your Cowboys victory, but we're going to discuss that really soon.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, we will. But listen, before we do, go ahead. Well, what do you want to tell the people there?
No. Hey, listen, what we need everyone to do that's watching the show is please like, share, subscribe to our Facebook and YouTube pages. It would be greatly appreciated. We want to hear your comments. We want to hear if you think our takes are worthwhile, if it's just nonsense, if it's nutso takes. We need to know from you if you think you agree with Rod, you agree that, you know, the Cowboys are Super Bowl bound, or do we believe that, you know, the Niners are going all the way? We would love to hear from you. Please, once again, like, share, subscribe to our Facebook and YouTube page, Brooklyn Beards and Ball. But let's get into the show. Let's go. Week 17 is already here. It already started. We had an opportunity to see some garbage play. A team that should have and has all these Super Bowl aspirations. They struggled to beat Tennessee Titans. Let's start off with the NFL with the Dallas Cowboys and the Tennessee Titans. Cowboys were a 13.5-point favorite. Tennessee was not playing anybody. I don't think the coach was out there. There was not a starter in sight. Dallas had everyone pretty much a full complement outside of Tony Pollard, right? You had your starting quarterback. Tennessee had their third string quarterback.
Yep.
Some people say he could be a young Yul Brynner, right? We don't know. But he was the quarterback. And Dallas had problems with Tennessee. No running back. They had some guy I never heard of as the running back. They're resting all of their starters because the big game for Tennessee is next week. They went against the Jags, they're in. Right. So they're resting all their starters, trying to get as healthy as possible against the Cowboys. Cowboys are supposed to be, they still have a shot if the Eagles somehow, some way, I don't really think they have a shot. But in any case, they're trying to, you know, finish the season on a strong note.
Yep.
It looked pretty pitiful, to be honest. Dak, once again, let's start going with what is the norms. The norms for Dallas is turnovers, not causing turnovers. And everyone always talks about them causing turnovers,
which we do lead the league in, but go ahead.
Who cares? But you also, Dallas had how many turnovers yesterday? Did they have 4 turnovers?
Three.
Okay, excuse me, 3. They had 3 turnovers. Yeah. Okay. And so you struggle with a team that is resting all of their starters, and you feel good about what? Floor is yours.
Well, listen, I mean, my thing is this. Yes, to your point, and you're right, Tennessee had no dog in that fight yesterday at all, literally at all. They really could have just not showed up at all, and it would have made a difference, right? As you stated, their game is next week against the Jaguars to get in. Listen, Dallas came off a very emotional win, okay, last week against Philly, on Christmas Eve for that matter, right? You had a short week. You know, we were even in a position where we didn't even know we wanted to rest our starters or not. And as you just stated, mathematically, we have an opportunity to win the NFC East if the Eagles should lose out and Dallas wins out. we didn't want to take a chance and then rest guys, not play them, and then we end up losing to Tennessee, only to find out that the Eagles would lose to the Saints on Sunday. So look, I hear all of what you're saying, and that's the common narrative. They had nobody being the Titans out there. Dallas should have really just mopped the floor with these guys. We did cover the spread, by the way. We should have just basically just ran them out of Tennessee. I agree with that. And did Dallas look good overall? I mean, I don't think we looked that bad. Look, Tennessee, because of the run style defense they play, they're number 2 in the league behind your 49ers when it comes to stopping the run. They only give up about 80 yards a game. They're a really, really good team stopping the run, even without starters, because of the scheme that they play. They take the character of their coach, which is a real, staunch guy, kind of blue collar guy. Vrabel is a guy that's going to have his team ready and prepared because he is a good coach. So we had no running game. It was non-existent. So we kind of missed Pollard yesterday, but we didn't need Pollard to win, right? Dak threw one bad interception. That's all he did. He threw one bad interception and never thrown it in that coverage there where Kevin Byard was able to come in there and just snatch that ball out. Look, Hendershot, our rookie tight end, he caught the ball, dropped the ball, caught the ball, dropped the ball, and then ended up just forwarding over to again, Byard there, and that was another interception. Look, Dallas didn't play actually bad, but they didn't dominate. But I think the lack of domination came from the fact that, again, you had a very short week. You had an emotional win against a very good Eagles team, as we know, which is clearly arguably the best team in the NFL, at this point in time. And that's even right now. I mean, obviously with Jalen Hurts, we know that there's a big difference in competition there. But still, nevertheless, Dallas covered the spread. Well, I mean, we did put the game away in the fourth quarter. We just didn't win with the level of dominance. So everybody's going to say, oh, Dallas didn't win. That doesn't make them really look good. Should they be considered a top-tier team in the NFC because they struggled and they lost to the Jaguars last week? And Jacksonville is playing actually very good, and now they have an opportunity to win their division. So remember when I said this to you, D, okay? Let's say this, and I'm going to repeat this again. Everybody who played in all the teams that in the beginning of the season that struggled in that first quarter of the season are now playing better football. Look at Detroit. Look at you can look at Green Bay. You can look at even Cincinnati, who we beat early in the year. But that's not the same team that they are right now, right? And even your 49ers, y'all were actually under 500 at one point this year, right? You got healthy. You became better again. So I'm saying, we're at the end of the year. These guys are professionals at the end of the day. And you still got to go out there and play the game, and anything can happen. So when I looked at that game yesterday against CD, over 100 yards, clearly defining himself as number one, over 1,000 yards again for the season, second year in a row, 2-time Pro Bowler now. And Dallas is establishing T.Y. Hilton again, nice addition for us. Dallas played well yesterday. They just didn't dominate. That's the only difference. That we won. We covered the spread. We just didn't dominate. And I think that's the problem that we have when people expect a team to dominate. It's not always about dominating. It's about just finding a way to win. And we're not into style points. It's not the BCS. We're not trying to see if we can qualify to play against Michigan State or Ohio State in the Sugar Bowl or national championship. We don't care. Win the game. Do what you got to do. Get up out of there. Get guys healthy. Tyler Biadasz, our center, is hurt. Hopefully, it's not as bad for what they're saying. He has more tests tomorrow. He is a major factor to our line, our center. So that's the thing I'm mostly worried about, because though we won that game, we did sustain some injuries. And we had 3 defensive backs down all at the same time on the same play in that game, which was scary too, with Malik Hooker and J-Ron Curse primarily, and Donovan all down at the same time. That game was scary for me, okay, because I didn't want to see our guys hurt. But yes, Dallas we'll be fine. We're okay. Don't worry about it.
It sounds like a bunch of excuses, but hey, listen, I will say this. What you need to be concerned with is, I love how one of the interceptions was not Dak's fault, but I love how you gloss over the one interception that he threw directly to the opposing team. Yeah. And of course, he fumbled the ball.
He did. Well,
did we forget the fumble?
Biadasz, that was a little more on the exchange of Biadasz. He really didn't get
Biadasz
all the way
now
under there.
Biadasz.
So that was that's really subjective. But again, listen, D, he has thrown a lot of interceptions, 14. He's tied with the most now with the recently benched Derek Carr.
So what does that tell you? What does that
Well,
tell you?
it tells me what. What should it tell
Someone.
me? He's going to get benched now?
No, he's not going to get benched because you don't have a better substitute, or maybe you do. Cooper Rush was 4-1, so we don't
Yeah, so
know.
we do. We
We
clearly
never
have a better
know.
substitute.
So
Right, but
maybe
that's
you
not
do
gonna
have
happen.
someone to replace, but somebody who, as much as you like talking about Dak's stats, he has thrown 14 interceptions. And how many did he throw last year?
He only had, I think, 11 last year for
Okay,
the whole year.
so
Yeah,
he is, and he played how
or
many
8
less
it might have been.
games? 7 less games or
Yeah,
6 less games?
yeah.
So he is trending in the wrong direction. You can, I knew as long as you guys won, you would come up with an excuse and you would come up with a reason why the Cowboys, it was still in a positive light. But hey, that's neither here nor there. I will say this, and then we can move on to the next game. But if
Yeah.
you do that, what you did yesterday against Tampa Bay, you are going home. Book it. Book it. You will go home. 3 turnovers, whether it was it bounced off his chest, one hit Biatch's fingers, his fingers cramped up during that. All of that, it won't matter. You will go home.
Let me tell you something. Yes, I agree. In the playoffs, that would happen. All we got to do is score more than 20 points against the Buccaneers. They're 0-7. So all we got to do is score a lot of points because they're putrid offensively.
But the difference is Tennessee with a 3rd-string quarterback. If his receivers didn't drop and they were wide open, he played really good.
He played admirably. I thought he
actually
played good.
For him, he's 6 years in the league, but I think this was his first start. So, so I think you can't compare him to Tom Brady. So my point is this: if you play a clean game, you will beat Tampa Bay. But if you give them opportunities, you give Tom Brady opportunity. I don't care if he is the Statue of Liberty. You give him opportunities, he's going to make you guys pay. That's the long and short of it. You don't want to believe that, but time will tell, and you're going to know really soon if Dak turns the ball over. And by the way, I did see those sightings yesterday. He had that stupid look on his face.
Yeah, he did.
If he does that against Tampa Bay, believe it, he's going home.
Number 1 offense in the league since Dak's return. He's just being aggressive.
And he's number 1 with interceptions.
And that's okay, but we're still overcoming the interception. In other words, it's the timing of the interceptions. Other than the Jacksonville game, which again, that interception was not his fault.
And Green Bay, right?
And Green Bay, but those picks were in the first half. Dallas still had a 14-point lead in the middle of that.
But those points equal points. The points that they got off the turnovers wouldn't have those opportunities.
Point taken. I get you, but again, Dallas overcomes the turnovers because of when they happen. Now, again, they are critical, but you have to still look at the fact that with that risk comes great reward. And Dak has been balling otherwise, and we still are the number 1 ranked offense since his return in the NFL. We're putting up points. We're number 1 and 3rd down efficiency. Our offense is actually really, really good. So even with all the picks that Dak throws, and think about it, look at your boy. Yes, he's played more games, but Josh Allen's got 13 picks as well. All right. So, and yes, he's played more games, to put it in context. But again, at the end of the day, it's not hurting the Bills, right? Because they're still going to win the game. Dallas is still winning games, even with the picks that Dak throws. So that's all. I'm just putting it in context for you, that our offense is still legit. We're not a whack offense and still turning the ball over. Then that would be a problem.
Okay. So, okay. Only time is going to tell. We won't beat this dead horse, but I will say this: it's going to be interesting if he continues to turn the ball over multiple times a game. Yeah. We'll see how that works out for you. Whether it's early, whether it's halftime show, he throws a pick. We're going to see what happens and what you guys do. Moving on to the next game, Miami and New England. Miami and New England. Listen, Miami is on the ropes. Tua has had his 3rd concussion.
Yeah.
Listen, I think it's safe to say, and what he really he needs to talk to his parents about is potentially calling it a career. Call it a career, because it's not how. First of all, we know with concussions, it's how many you have, right?
Right.
Because it's accumulative, right? And then we also know the amount of time you've had him. He's had 3 concussions in about 2 months. That is really concerning, and it's not anything that is the people, the defensive players that are hitting him and actually sacking him, it's not any real egregious, ridiculous hits where they're headhunting. They're basically slinging him down. There aren't any penalties to it, and he's just not falling to protect his head. So he keeps hitting the back of his head, and shame on the Dolphins brass for not being able. There's spotters. There's other groups that are supposed to be paying attention to anything that is out of the ordinary with any potential player's play. And given the fact that he has been such a pivotal part in this season, as far as it pertains to concussions and them being hypersensitive to that, they should have really, because if that was the pivotal point, once he took that sack where he threw 3 consecutive picks, even before it got to that point, someone should have asked him, are you okay? How do you feel? And Tua has to be honest with himself because, I know he's a team first guy, obviously, but if you can't spell team after your career is over, will it really matter? You get what I'm saying? So he has to prioritize himself. He has to prioritize his well-being, his health, over the fact that, hey, I just want to be there for my guys. So unfortunately for him, I think it's bigger than football. As we always say, it's bigger than sports. This week they'll have Bridgewater, which is he's a formidable, backup. I think he'll do well. They're playing against New England and, dirty Mac Jones, because Mac Jones has a pattern of being a dirty player. I mean, he's kicking guys in the crotch. He's low blocking and potentially hurting somebody's knees. He did that to Eli Apple. So my question is, at some point, someone should be making Mac Jones grab his ears, right? Somebody should lay a hit on Mac Jones and have him grabbing his helmet. But instead, Nice Tua is getting hurt in the situation. So I think from that, I don't really know who care. I don't really care who wins. I ultimately want Tua to be more concerned about his future outside of football because he's young, he's very young, and he has his whole life ahead of him. So I think he should concern himself with that. It would be a huge disappointment if they don't win because Miami is still in charge or in control of their own destiny. If they win, then they'll be in. I really don't want to see New England succeed, especially how overall they've been playing. I mean, the play calling, they really don't deserve to make the postseason, to be honest. Between the dysfunction, between Mac Jones being dirty, between Matt Patricia calling the offense, like people are between Belichick being so proud that he won't accept that it's not working, that Mac Jones has regressed from last year to this year, and it's a direct result of Matt Patricia calling the offense. I think they don't deserve to be in the playoffs. What do you say?
No, I agree. I think to your point about Tua, I can't disagree at all, D. I agree. I think now you're at a point where you have to think about your welfare, right? As an individual, as a family man, as somebody who has to always consider life outside of football. And I think that's the detriment to what these guys play at, or play for rather, as just athletes, right? Because this is what you envision yourself doing all your life. Since you are a child, you see yourself playing at this level. It's what you devoted your entire life to. Your parents have made great sacrifices to make sure that you have all of the support that you need to get you to this level. And then to come to this level and of course, and then sustain these kind of injuries. And Tua's already had a lot of, injuries, as we know in his history, that's been well documented from his time in Alabama. And now coming here and concussions, I don't think it gets really any worse than that, right? I mean, even with ACL tears, different things like that, you can always still kind of recoup. You may not be the same player you once were, but there's nothing in comparison when you talk about the neurological issues that come with concussions, and then you being able to, like you say, can you spell the word team when it's all said and done and recognize your loved ones? And so I think it's something he does need to think about, because even with the play that they thought this happened in last week's game, he just got slung around, but his head hit the ground. And I think what the NFL should probably do, I'll just say this on this part, D, because I'm like you on this game. It doesn't really matter to me. New England is 8th in defense overall. I think they're going to end up winning this game. I don't think Bridgewater can get it done. He's 0-2 as a starter this year for them. He hasn't really played that well. He did play well against the Vikings, but he's just not enough. I don't know if they can really get it over with him when it's all said and done. So I actually got New England in this game. But the thing is that they need the same supports that they put on their helmets in practice. You know what? That might need to be part of the game. I mean, look, if you want these guys, everyone just walks on these big, huge Martian helmets on, look like aliens out of space. Look, if you want to keep the product on the field, then I say, listen, it's not aesthetically pleasing, doesn't look great, but you got to find a way to keep these guys protected, because it's not just the egregious hits to the to the head with the helmet from the defender. To your point, it's just falling on the ground. You got hard turf. It's cold. It's wintertime. Your head is hitting the ground. It's still very dangerous. And when you have someone that has sustained concussions like Tua, that's something you definitely got to consider. So yeah, I'm with you on that. I think this might go a little bit beyond football when you talk about his career, and that's going to determine whether Miami is going to want to be able to sign him long term and what kind of contract that they're going to give him when it's all said and done. A guy that's already sustained 3 concussions in 1 year, that's right. A lot. I mean, so yeah, there's a lot of decisions to be made in Miami concerning Tua for sure.
All right, so real quick, let's get a score on that game, Miami, New England. I'll start first. I'll give you, I think Miami will win the game because they still have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. So I think I like it to be pretty much a low-scoring game. I'll go 21-17.
21-17? Okay.
Miami.
All right. Yeah. All right. I got 22-16. New England.
22-16. Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. Moving on to the next game, let's talk about those San Francisco 49ers.
I'm surprised you didn't do them just now. I thought they was coming up after the Cowboys.
No, it's cool. Okay. We'll talk. We're just going to flow. Okay. The 49ers versus the Raiders. Now, the Raiders, it's a lot of dysfunction with the Raiders, and I think it's all stemming from the coach. But recently, I think a matter of a day ago, the Raiders decided to bench their quarterback, Carr.
Yep.
Not for another superstar, not for another proven quarterback, but for Stidham, who was once with the Patriots, came over with Josh, what's his name? What's the coach's name again?
Oh, Josh McDaniels.
Josh McDaniels. Came over with Josh McDaniels.
Yeah.
He has a certain comfort level with Stidham, and they are going to bench Carr for Stidham. Now, I'll tell you this. Living in the Bay Area, I'll explain it to you. It doesn't matter what their record is. This game is very important. This is the battle of the Bay. I know the Raiders are no longer in Oakland, but this is the battle of the Bay. This is for bragging rights because there is very much a kind of a Jets, Giants, any place that has 2 teams, and y'all go head to head, and you don't play every year. Of course, you want bragging rights. So this is an important game. So you bench him for Stidham, and of course Devontae is sticking up for his boy because he is, Carr is one of the major reasons, if not the only reason, that he left the Packers to come there. And now it looks like Carr has probably played his last game because I think this bridge is burned. And usually when it's a toss-up between the coach and the player, usually the player wins out. But I think for whatever reason, they have faith in Josh McDaniels to the point where they're ready to part ways with Carr. And clearly, if he's not injured and you're still not mathematically eliminated, there is no reason why you would do this. You would make this move. Not only that, take a step further, Carr has decided for the next 2 games to distance himself from the team. He's going to just not be at the game. He won't be on the sideline. He will not be suited. He will be inactive, and I believe he will not be in the building. That is, it's bad all the way around.
All the way around.
I think from a Niners standpoint, Debo is healthy again. I don't know if he's going to play. We don't need him to play. I don't think we're not worried about Stidham. We're going to handle him. We don't need Debo for that. I think that from a standpoint of Brock Purdy, I think this will be the opportunity. I don't take the Raiders lightly because this is based on everything else. They do have something to play for, number one. Number two, this is their Super Bowl because they need bragging rights. You know, right. we don't play each other every year. So as this comes around, this is a very important game between Niners fans, Raiders fans. So I think they're going to have a little added juice. But ultimately, I think we're going to win. I probably would give it because they have a decent defense. And the question I have for you is, what message does that give to all of the other Raider players that they do this to him? And it's pretty much a public shaming how they're benching him. And they're saying, hey, we would rather, even though we're not. Now, I could see it making sense if they were eliminated. Hey, let's see what else we have. But they're still in the mix. They need help, but they're still in the mix, and they're willing to go with someone else. What do you say about that?
Well, I think the thing is this, and what I understand it to be in the local brass of the Raider fandom, if you will, they're actually very happy that Carr got benched. The Raiders have not been pleased. Fandoms, their core group of followers, which is quite a bit. Raiders carry a very strong following. They're actually excited that he's benched. Carr hasn't played well. I mean, you saw it last week in the game where that in overtime there, that ball sailed. He had I forget, Renfro was it, wide open in the middle of the field. He just overthrew him. I mean, you have to make that throw. Now, Carr has been good. 3 Pro Bowls he's made since being with the Raiders. He's their franchise quarterback. They signed him long term. But I think they're looking now beyond. He's clearly going to be gone. In fact, from what I understand, he's only going to cost about $5 million against their cap if they let him go after this season, which isn't bad at all for a franchise quarterback. Usually, if you cut a franchise quarterback, then you're looking at probably a $25 million, $30 million hit. But that's not the case here, the way the contract was structured. And I think there were some issues in there too about if Carr got hurt, his contract was still guaranteed this year. And so I think that played a role in their decision in benching him as well. Look, Devontae Adams, I know he's upset. He's the reason, as you stated, why he's there. That's his buddy. That's his boy. But at the end of the day, I think they're looking beyond. McDaniels is probably like, this is not my guy. And if you think about it, the Raiders, every draft pick, their number 1 draft pick from the last 5-6 years are gone. They've cut every first-round draft pick they've had in the last 4 or 5 years. So it's a bad situation when you look at the regime from before with Mike Mayock and then of course you had Gruden there and so forth. And even when Gruden was there, they just didn't seem like a team that was developing or getting better, right? They just still stayed stuck in the mud. They just never really got out of anything. Had a bad relationship with Khalil Mack. They ended up losing him in that whole thing and got him traded up out of there. The whole thing is this. It's a bad organization. Carr hasn't played well. They're clearly going to move on from Carr. If he's distancing himself, he's gone. I think it does speak bad about the spectacle, but that's just what the Raiders do. They just don't know how to handle things. And I don't think Josh McDaniels is a good coach anyway, if you ask me. He's not. Look, no one gets the cheat playbook from Belichick when they leave the door, okay? When you leave when you leave that organization, they don't get the cheat sheet. Not at all. Belichick keeps that for himself, and that's why every coach fails as a head coach coming from his coaching tree and those who are his assistants. So, Devontae, I'm going to tell you what, it's going to be hard because he's not going to get anything with Jarrett Stidham. Jarrett's played 3 games this year. He's only attempted 13 passes, completed 8 this year alone. He didn't play all of 2021. He had about 8 games in total that he played in in New England while Josh McDaniels was there as the OC. All you guys got to do really in this game has nothing to do with the 49ers at all. Nothing to do. I mean, we're going to, right now we're talking about the Raiders because of just the news that they bring. You're going to load the box because they're going to run a lot of Josh Jacobs. You guys are number 1 in the league against the run, number 1 against the pass, number 1 overall and everything. Josh ain't going to have nowhere to go. They're going to load the box. They're going to make Stidham throw. And then when he throws, that's when you're going to realize, man, maybe we should have stayed with Derek Carr. So that game is a wrap. That much. I don't think there's anything more I could add to that.
Okay, I agree. I think from a standpoint of Carr, quickly,
Yeah.
where do you think? I mean, there are some some decent landing spots for him. There are some
Sure.
teams that can definitely use him. And I'll say this:
Sure.
he hasn't played well, so people, you said some people are happy about it, but they were a playoff team last year. So they definitely, what is the common denominator? What is the difference between last year and this year? The coach. Am I
That's
right?
a good point. You're
So
right.
if you are a
I
playoff
agree.
team and you got better with you have a better receiver, arguably top three, top two, top one
Right.
receiver in the league,
Sure.
naturally your team should have gotten better, but it regressed. And that has
Right.
to do with coaching. So I don't think that he
I agree with that.
totally ingratiated himself with, this is Josh McDaniels. I don't think
Right.
most smart coaches work to their quarterback's strengths, right?
Sure.
And if his
Yep.
strengths last year got him to the playoffs and this year has him benched with 2 games left and in contention to make the playoffs, that has to be the fact that Josh McDaniels ain't jiving with him. And he feels
Right.
more secure with his job than he thinks Carr should feel with his job, if that makes sense.
Makes
He
a lot of
should,
sense.
and so unfortunately, Carr will probably not be a Raider next year. But good for him. Maybe he goes somewhere else and he shines.
Yeah.
And you know what Devontae can do? Devontae can do what all diva receivers can do. He can force a trade too. Why can't he? I mean,
Well, he could.
because
He could,
he
and a
most
lot of teams
definitely
will be
could.
more than happy to pick up his contract too,
Absolutely. There would be
without a shadow
several,
of
there
doubt.
would be
Yeah.
interest.
Mm-hmm.
So he could still get his wish and still end up with Carr.
Very
Because
well may happen. That's a good
if
point.
somebody takes Carr and says, hey, maybe Devontae can work something out, maybe it's a package deal, just like when the Broncos hired their head coach that they just fired, thinking that they were going to get Aaron Rodgers and it didn't work out. Sometimes
Right.
people
Right.
kind of, hey, if I do this, I do that. Quid pro quo. You do
Right.
this for me, and then maybe I'll bring your man along, and then that'll work, and y'all will be buddied up. It may not work that way, but maybe teams
Right.
would be more interested in Carr based off that, because he's not a bad quarterback
No,
at
he's
all.
not. He's not. No, he's
You know,
not. No, he's not trash. He's top 15. And you might this might shock you. Or maybe it wasn't, but maybe it won't. But I actually think Carr is in that same group with Dak and your Kirk Cousins and your, those quarterbacks that are good. They're playoff quarterbacks that win divisions, that win a lot of games in regular season.
I agree with
But
that.
I
I think Dak is 15, Kirk Cousins is 14, Carr is 13.
All right, I wouldn't.
Right. So let's move on.
You know what?
Real quick, let's get a score.
I don't know why.
Let's
I did
get a
that.
score, man.
Anyway,
Let's
get
get
a score. Look, the score will be. I've got the Niners actually. I think y'all are looking to score some points. I think y'all are going to try some different things there offensively. Kyle Shanahan, I think he wants to kind of get beyond this thing of keeping Purdy as this managerial quarterback, because he's been hitting.
He hasn't though.
Plays.
He hasn't. He's throwing 2 touchdowns every game. So I don't.
That's what he has, and he's getting the big plays. He's throwing the ball. He's throwing the ball, and I think Kyle wants to kind of see more of that from his quarterback. So he's gonna scheme up some things that have that happen. And so I said all that to say that I see the 49ers winning this game 34 to 34-13. I think it's gonna be a blowout.
34-13.
Yeah, 34-13.
Niners.
Niners.
I like the Niners. I think we're going to win a game. I think.
What's the spread on that game? Do you know?
I don't know the spread, but
Okay.
I'm sure it's has to be approaching double digits. It might. I thought it was 9.9.5, but I'm not completely sure.
Okay.
But what I think it'll be, I think score wise, I think the Niners will win 28-10. So I don't think we're going to necessarily run it up. I think we're going to get a comfortable lead, let the defense do what it does, and hold, pretty much stymie them, and maybe get some defensive turnovers, maybe, a pick six, maybe a sack fumble. I think that's how we're going to, and if we run it up beyond 28, I think it'll be some the defense scoring.
I agree. 9.5.
Let's move on.
Yeah, go ahead.
9.5? Okay.
49.5.
See,
Yep.
you know, man,
Mhm.
I try to stay on that 9 and a
Yeah.
half. We'll,
Yeah.
we'll I
I
think
know
we'll
you
I think
know
we'll
that
cover the
stuff. That's
spread.
my act. So yeah,
I think we'll cover the spread.
I believe so.
Let's move on to Bills versus Cincinnati. That game is Monday, but this is a big game.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is one of those Bills beat Chiefs. Cincinnati, uh, Chiefs beat Bills, right?
Chiefs beat the Bills. Yeah.
Chiefs beat the Bills. Cincinnati beat the Chiefs. So
Right.
this is the top tier of the AFC teams,
Yes,
right?
it is. It
This
is.
trio between the Chiefs, the Bills, and Cincinnati. Who will
Yep.
be top dog? You got Joe Burrow, you got Patrick Mahomes, and you have Josh Allen. Those are the three that are, and of course you have the quarterback, the Chargers. They
Correct.
talk about him as being one of the top
Oh,
tier,
Justin
but
Herbert, no doubt. Yeah.
Justin Herbert. But
Hmm.
mostly these three are getting all of these. Have the highest percentages of making it to the Super Bowl from the
Sure.
AFC.
Sure.
So this is going to be a very good game.
Very.
I think it's going to be exciting. I like Cincinnati to win this, not because they beat Patrick Mahomes, but I think overall their offense is a better offense. If you talk about, we've talked about before how the Niners players are superior to Dallas Cowboys position players, right? And how we talk that our team is so more dominant than the Cowboys players. And I
don't
look at
remember that
it,
show. I don't remember
yeah,
that
but
show. But go
hey,
ahead.
listen,
Yeah.
we need you
Go
to
ahead.
like, share, and subscribe. If they look, they'll find that show. But in any case, I think the Bengals, it's the same way against the Bills.
Right.
Of course, Josh Allen and what's his name? I'm forgetting his name. Josh Allen and the Cincinnati quarterback, which is
Joe Burrow. Yeah.
Joe Burrow.
Mm-hmm.
Duh.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow.
Yeah. You good?
I think you could say it could be a wash. Both of them. Of course, Josh Allen's arm is stronger, but I think Joe Burrow's touch is better. He has better accuracy.
I agree.
I think he stays calm in situations better. I think he has better situational awareness when it comes time. I think he has a better touch. Now, if you want to go skill players, I think obviously Cincinnati has a better running back. Cincinnati has better receivers, or at least multiple receivers, right? So if you want to do Chase versus Diggs, right? Let's just say there's a wash, although I would give Chase the edge. Well, their second quarterback, Higgins and Boyd, and there is the advantage. Of course, tight ends, it's a wash, right? Because their tight ends are hit or miss. But their defense, although the Bills are getting healthier as far as their defense, Cincinnati has been playing really good defense. And they've been protecting Joe Burrow a little bit better as far as the offensive line. So it's going to be interesting which one of those strengths actually comes into question, and who actually blinks. Like we always say, one of those teams is going to have to go outside of their norms in order for the other team to lose, right? So if they both stick to their strengths, I still give Cincinnati the edge because they just have better players. But if Buffalo can make them do something or play their game, I think they'll win. What do you say?
No, I agree. I think though, I just like the way Cincinnati's been playing lately. There's a great confidence. Burrow is, I gotta say, man, I think that dude just reminds me of like Joe Montana. Really, like he's cool, he's poised, he's extremely confident. And you know what? They're really a well-coached team. Their coach, what's his name? I guess Zach something. I forget his name. My apologies. But their coach, he's really good. They're well coached, even though and they've been able to be a team to overcome a lot of deficiencies. Right? We know their offensive line wasn't great last year, deplorable, gave up a lot of sacks, but yet they're in the Super Bowl. Still not a great line this year, but it has improved. Right? They had Chase out a couple of games this year, still able to persevere. They was able to kind of hit a stride. And I like where they are right now. Again, you and I talked about this pretty much last several weeks when it comes to Buffalo. Buffalo is tricky. We don't really even know sometimes what we're going to get. We know Josh Allen, and we know we're going to get a lot of Josh Allen. It's going to be a whole lot of Josh Allen. But at the end of the day, sometimes Buffalo can, they just, the games you think, again, like Dallas almost, you would think they would dominate or really be able to kind of exert themselves and impose their will. They don't. And so I think this game, in my opinion, I like Joe. I like Cincinnati in this game. I really think that they're going to really do what they need to do. They're only 26 in the league in the rush. Okay, so they're averaging 98 yards a game, which isn't a lot. And the Bills are 7th, I think, against the run in defense. So that's going to be interesting. But I do think Cincinnati, for them to have a lot of success in the playoffs, they're going to need to be able to really run the ball a little bit better. They got a great running back, but they haven't really been running the ball well. But I think it's a lot to do with the fact that they focus more on putting the ball in Joe Burrow's hands and letting him do what he does with those great receivers that they have. So I think if you're Cincinnati, you want to stay patient with the running game, try to keep some type of balance there, but continue to stay within the mode in which they are, which is efficient offense that they've been displaying. So I like Cincinnati in this game, to be quite honest with you. Josh is going to give you a lot of Josh. He's going to be leaping and back flipping, and you know what I'm trying to say? It's going to be 3rd and 30. He's going to run a quarterback draw and run for 40 yards. That's just what he does. But at the end of the day, and you and I talk about it all the time, not sure if that's going to always be enough, all right? And they've got, Stephon Diggs, we know, is top 3 in the league. Definitely he's going to be able to get his, but I still think Cincinnati is the team to win this because I still think Buffalo is too one-dimensional with Josh, with the legs, along with his arm.
Yeah, I agree. Zach Taylor is the coach.
Zach Taylor. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but I agree. Yep.
Yep.
We both, it seems like we're both on Cincinnati. I think it is going to be a high-scoring game.
Okay.
I like Cincinnati winning 35-28.
You know what? I could see that. I'll say 35-31.
35-31.
Yeah.
Okay, we both like Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Moving on, let's talk a little bit about the NBA. Okay, there's a team. There is a team in Brooklyn, Flatbush and Atlantic, that has won 10 games in a row. That team, ladies and gentlemen, is the Brooklyn Nets. Out the Barclays Center. All right? Brooklyn, listen, I heard so much about what Brooklyn could not do. Okay? And let me just briefly tell you what Brooklyn has done. Brooklyn has dealt with great adversity. Okay? We dealt with a lot of naysayers. We dealt with a lot. We dealt with Ben Simmons back, right? We dealt with Kyrie Irving's a tweet or post. We dealt with a trade demand. We dealt with Steve Nash not knowing how to coach star players. We dealt with so much. We dealt with Ime Udoka supposedly coming. We dealt with all of that. We dealt with adversity, and yet we still persevered, right? And I'm going to stick, this is something that I need everyone to understand. I'm very proud to be a Nets fan because this season, they could have just packed it in. Mm-hmm. I know you could cough. That's okay. Clear your throat while I'm saying this, because I'm gonna clear something else out when we talk about the Lakers. But in any case, after the Nets had to deal with that, we have a new coach. He is focused on defense. Our defensive efficiency. We're now number 7.
Yeah.
Defensively.
Yeah.
After teams early on were everybody was scoring on us. 140 points, 150 points, 130. We were getting smoked, right? Or we would win games, but it would be 135 to 134.
Right.
And really, that is not the recipe to actually win and go deep into the playoffs, right?
Right.
But what have we done since then? We beat the Warriors by 1,000 points. Then we beat Milwaukee. Then we beat Cleveland. Then we beat Atlanta.
Absolutely.
10 games in a row we have run off. And if anybody pays attention to what we're doing and how we're doing it and looking at the games, you see chemistry. And that is the biggest thing. You see championship basketball being played. Players are playing. I mean, KD is playing an MVP level, but he's diving on the floor for balls. He's blocking shots. Listen, Claxton had 6 block shots. 6 his last game.
Yeah.
I won't even tell you
That's
what Kyrie. I won't
Yeah.
even say what Kyrie is doing. Kyrie was putting on a show. When we played played Atlanta, he put on a show. And he started. See, one thing I like about them is they don't have to start off fast. They can take their time, get other players involved. When I was talking about some of the stars on our team, somebody on this show was laughing. When I was saying certain players were coming back, you were like, are you serious? What are they going to do, right? I was talking about some of the role players that were going to add to us defensively.
Oh, yeah. You mean the Hall of Famer, T.J. Warren? My fault.
I didn't say a Hall of Famer, but T.J. Warren came back.
Yeah, I forgot.
Royce O'Neal.
Yeah.
These players are vitally important. I bet you the Lakers would like a T.J. Warren. The Lakers would like a Royce O'Neal, and they don't have them. But we have them. We're doing some tremendous things, and people are always going to complain about it. But I would like to say this. Guess who's in second place in the East? Only behind Boston. That would be the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah, I was just going to let you say it. I mean,
the proof is in the pudding.
I know it was a rhetorical question. But
the proof is in the pudding. The floor is yours.
Listen, listen, Don. I just love the way you talk about how the Nets overcome adversity, like they, was part of the transatlantic slave trade or something. You know what I'm saying? And they've overcome, I mean, just living in poverty and had to pull themselves up by the bootstraps. Okay, look, Don, the Nets are looking really good, and Jacques Vaughn clearly is the sole reason why this team is where they are. Okay, got the guys playing, and one of the things I like that he's done, he did not rely, unlike Steve Nash, on the superstars, because every great coach understands it's not coaching the superstars. It's more about managing them, but you coach the role players. That's the thing that you do. Phil Jackson did it in Chicago. He did it in LA. We saw Greg Popovich. He's done it for years in San Antonio, obviously, when he had, Duncan and Parker and Ginobili. When you understand how to get the role players to play their roles efficiently and effectively, that's when you're going to see success with a team that has the level of illuminating stars like the Nets with Kyrie and KD in particular, right? So the whole thing when you had James Harden there and you tried to make it a trifecta and all this stuff, and now you got Ben Simmons there, but Ben Simmons, though he is a all-star, right? But it's still Kyrie and KD's team. Ben Simmons, to me, how I look at the Nets construct is that he's kind of like the lead role player, right? Because he has a role player mentality in the sense that he distributes, he orchestrates, he defends, he rebounds. And that's really all you ever wanted from him, right? And you see his confidence is soaring. He's got a great community now around him. And Jacques Vaughn gets a tremendous amount of credit for the complete turnaround and success that we see with the Brooklyn Nets. Now, again, and I always often tell you this, D, we're still in the first half of the season, all right? Nothing to get excited about. We don't know where teams are still at this point in time. We really don't. Even with a win streak like what the Nets have, we won't know where anybody is until we get down to about the last 25 games of the season come the next calendar year in 2023. That's when you're going to be able to determine where your team truly is. Health will play a part by that time, because that's when health really matters. You can lose some guys now. It's best to lose them now and not to have them out in the end of the year when you're going to need them, when you're trying to make that playoff run. The truth of the matter is that the Nets are good. They'll be there. I think they will be. I don't think y'all will beat Boston in a 7-game series. I don't think you'll beat Milwaukee in a 7-game series. And you got to always think of that. When you are looking at your team from a championship level, aspirational perspective, You have to keep in mind, can my team beat that team in 7 games? That's the thing. One night here, one night there, 12-game winning streak, winning 12 out of 13, 14 out of 16 games. That's cute. That's expected. You got Katie and Kyrie. But we're putting it in context in terms of the team coming together and Jacques Vaughn bringing this team to where they need to be, because this is where we expected the Nets to be. This is where they always should have been. So you're kind of meeting finally the expectation everybody had of the Nets when they first signed these guys. But the question remains, we will see come May, come June, can you win in a 7-game series against Milwaukee and or Boston? So that's what I say to you, my friend, who is looking for a championship to come out of Brooklyn. And I think you got to keep that in mind. So that's all I say about your Nets. But they look good. They look good. Better than my Lakers.
Okay. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. And the more backhanded compliments, that is cool. That is cool. Keep that energy. I want you to keep saying that, because as they keep winning, as they keep climbing, my thing is this: if a team is now, why do we think it's fluky for a team to be successful in the beginning? We weren't successful in the beginning, right? We were in, 12th, 11th, and we made our way slowly but surely all the way to being number 2. But that is not good enough. And so it's going to make it all the sweeter when
you say that it wasn't good enough. What do you mean by
it wasn't good enough for you? You think it's well, that's good, but it's cute because it's the beginning of the season.
Because that's what y'all should be. Where y'all are right now is where the Nets should have always been the last 3 years. Barring injuries,
there were reasons why. There was injuries. There was, people being there was limitations based on vaccinations. There were there's a host of reasons why there was injuries, vaccination, then Harden left, Ben Simmons came with a bad back. So there's a whole host of reasons why we were not whole as a team, who we see on the floor now. And I guarantee as we look down, we're looking down on the 76ers, I am sure that Harden wished that he stayed with Brooklyn. I'm sure he has. Because really, all the teams that think that they're going to do something, we're not worried about Philly. Honestly, I think Boston is going to hit the wall. They are hot. They're hot in the beginning. But just like you saying, it's going to have to be sustained. It's going to have to be sustained. And just like we're going to have to sustain it, they're going to have to sustain it.
Well, they have. I mean, think about it. They didn't start off well last year. But then they turned the corner in the second half of the season, and then obviously they went to the finals. So
how'd they look in the finals? How'd they look in the finals?
Well, I think they looked okay. I think Tatum obviously, laid a brick in that last game. He didn't show up. But I think you have to chalk that up to just a learning experience, right? A young team that went into the finals, but they've been to several Eastern Conference championships. So you could see the trajectory for them, and they picked up where they left off in the finals as far as, being the dominant team in the East, and they're still keeping it going. I mean, they haven't faltered. I don't think they'll hit a wall. You saying they're going to have a precipitous fall at the
no. But I think they're going to eventually come back to the pack. I think because you're right, there's still some moves to be made. So we're going to see what happens. Trade deadline, we're going to see what happens because they have been fairly healthy. I don't think they've dealt with any injuries. So everybody's healthy. So we'll see what happens. We're going to see. Their coach is having his eyes replaced. We're going to see when he comes back in prime time if he can coach, because it's going to come in playoffs. It comes down to coaching. Missoula's eyes are being, as we speak, Missoula's eyes are being bought. The Amazon is sending him a new set of eyes. So while that happens, how's your coach get injured in a pickup basketball game? That's a sign that they're not going to do nothing in the playoffs. That's such a stupid reason. How does he get poked in his eye? That tells you that team ain't going to be successful. But in any case, you know what?
Oh gosh.
It's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be exciting. I think the East is going to be. There's some really good teams. I'm not discounting the 76ers still being in it because they have good players. But I think overall, like I always say, the cream always rises to the top. I like our chances. But you know what? We were going to talk about the Lakers, but let's table that for another time. All right, let the Lakers perhaps get another victory before our next show, and then we'll talk about it, right?
Well,
because LeBron had
37
games in a row, and then he had 28, and they lost a close one. So let's save it for another time.
Yeah, let's table it. I'm sure there'll be new developments in the next 24
hours. Of course they will.
So,
of course they will.
You know.
So listen. In any case, this has been a fantastic show.
Yes,
it was good talking with you.
Always,
it was. Fantastic show. I mean, really, fantastic show. We were talking about the Lakers.
Yep.
No, we didn't talk about the Lakers. We were talking about the Niners, their success. We were talking about Brooklyn, their success. So it was a fantastic show. And for you, we talked about the Cowboys. You know how they made it through. So it's all good. Once again,
all I gotta say, don't lose. Don't lose to the Raiders. Don't lose to Donald. I'm telling you.
If we lose to the Raiders, hey, listen. If we lose to the Raiders, guess what seed we are? We're the 3 seed.
But no.
If we lose to the Raiders, we're the 3 seed. It will not happen. But I say all that to say, if we lose to the Raiders, we're the 3 seed. It won't happen. But I'm just telling you, as opposed to being kind of, wondering and hoping that, this one, Jalen Hurts' shoulder doesn't get well and they lose out and we'll still be the 3 seed. But in any case, listen, shout out to Infinite Audio for the music. Shout out to Kingdom Creative for the production. Thank you so much for what you do. Once again, like, share, subscribe. Facebook. I can't say Facebook. Meta and YouTube. Once again, like, share, subscribe to our Facebook and YouTube page. We appreciate it. Leave comments. If you think this take was great, if you think it was trash, let us know. And we'll improve. We'll revisit some of these things that we're talking about.
Yes, we
will.
But
once again, Happy New Year to everyone. This is our last show of the year.
I didn't even think about that. You're right. Wow.
Like, share, subscribe, please. We thank you. Until next time. Peace.